Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live. It's January 13th, 2025, about 10 before 7 European time, and that means it's time, more or less, for this week's roundup of big stage productions, orchestral works and operatic works this week. We've got happy operatic stuff for you. We've got very sad opera music for you. We have lots and lots of Russian music coming at you by Tchaikovsky, by Rachmaninoff, by Shostakovich, by Stravinsky. And we have a goodly number, as you can see in the photo beside me, of young women stars in these various concerts that will be going on. So we will be sure to make sure that this video gets posted towards some of the Facebook groups which we are a member of, which are devoted to women in classical music and showcasing women in classical music. We have up there beside me, you can see, among other things, there's Francesca Dago in the lower right-hand corner. Upper left-hand corner is the other violinist is Arabella Steinbacher. That's Magdalena Lunchuk, the Polish soprano, the young Polish soprano. And, well, we will get to all of them. So before we get started, let me remind you once again, follow or subscribe to Access Arts Live. If you're watching us on Facebook, all you have to do is like this video. We will then send you an invitation to follow, and all you have to do is click on yes to that. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can just go down and click. Either there's a little box in the lower right-hand corner that you can click on, or underneath the video itself, there's a separate subscribe area. I'm sure you can figure out how to do it on our other platforms, which are X and TikTok and Instagram and Threads, because we want everybody to have access. I promise you, subscribe or follow us, and you can enjoy more than 1,000 live streams in 2025. We give you the live links to that many this year and probably more. Okay, so now let's get on to what we have this week. Because, well, this week, the sounds of Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, Tchaikovsky, and Shostakovich will be resounding in concert halls throughout what we call the Western democracies. How about that? Although I cannot tell you at this point in time what the Moscow and St. Petersburg orchestras may be playing, because it's so hard to figure out from their websites what they're live streaming and when. And usually they wait till the last minute. But anyway, let's get going. Orchestral and operatic works. First, the Bergen Philharmonic thinks the big ticket of Thursday's live stream concert is Sir Mark Elder conducting Rachmaninoff. I disagree. I think it's Arabella Steinbacher, the great violinist, playing Beethoven's Violin Concerto. Why not listen in and you let me know what you think? That's the Bergen Phil on Thursday, January 16th. 7:30 in the evening European time, 1:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10:30 in the morning on the West Coast. If you're wondering why I do little announcements like that, it's because then they can be clipped out and become reels, but they have to be less than 20 seconds. Anyway, Sir Mark Elder is a distinguished conductor. It is something to see him conduct. But let's go over the concert. The first piece they'll be doing is Richard Strauss's Till Eulenspiegel's lustige Streiche. And that means anyway, the Eulenspiegel is a storybook character, what they call a picaresque hero from back in the 14th century. He's a native of the Duchy of Brunswick-Lüneburg in the Holy Roman Empire, and he goes around playing practical jokes on his contemporaries. So this is a fun piece. Apparently, they say that he lived in the first half of the 14th century and died from the plague in 1350. And there's even a grave for him. Anyway, there are some people who say, though, that the name does not mean owl, mirror, Eulenspiegel. Eulen is owl and Spiegel is mirror, but it's a pun on a Low German phrase, which translates as something that I won't pronounce here, because what if there are children watching? It's wipe something. Anyway, then next they do Ludwig van Beethoven's Violin Concerto, which is another very sort of sunny piece in D major, and this is where you get to hear Arabella Steinbacher on the violin. So let me pull up a photo of Ariella herself for you. Now, here's the thing, Arabella. I'm sorry. Here's the thing about Arabella. I just found all these photographs of Arabella, and I want you to forgive me for sharing with you one or two of them. But these are all the photos that she puts up, and they are just, they're just they're lovely photos. It's sort of like fashion model photos that you have. If you go looking, this is what you will find when you're looking up Arabella Steinbacher. I hope no one in the women in classical music areas take offense at my showing these various photos, but these are the ones that you find all over the place when you look up Arabella Steinbacher. Now, let's talk about her formidable qualities as a violinist, though. Born into a family of musicians, she started playing the violin at age 3, and when she was only and was already studying at the University of Music and Theater in Munich, the Hochschule, probably that's a translation of, when she was only 8 years old. She plays everything. She plays Bartok, Britten, Glazunov, Gubedalina, Hartmann, Hindemith, Khachaturian, Miho, Prokofiev, Schnitke, Shostakovich, and Szymanowski. She's played with everybody: the London Phil, the Royal Phil, Polish National Radio, the Munich Symphony, Seattle. She's played at Osaka in Japan. She's played with the Sydney Symphony, the New York Phil. The list goes on. She's worked with a lot of the top conductors. George Lentz composed a violin concerto for Arabella to play. That's when you know that you've really made it, when they're composing things for you to play. She has some recordings out, including a Mozart recording cycle, recording featuring the 4 seasons of both Astor Piazzolla and Antonio Vivaldi, and I think I have heard of that one. Look, if you go online and you put in her name, you get pictures of a list going across the page of all the recordings she's done. So, that'll be really great to hear her playing Beethoven. And I hope I remembered that it is Beethoven's, violin concerto she's playing. And then after that, then Sir Mark Elder will be conducting Sergei Rachmaninoff's Symphony No. 3. One day back in 1935, they tell us Rachmaninoff sat down on the shores of Lake Lucerne. He hadn't written a symphony in 20 years. He was thinking about all these great American symphony orchestras he's heard, and out came this. A symphony all about yearning and longing, in which he tried out a lot of new ideas under the influence of us Americans. So that's Thursday. That's what they got for you. I would say check it out. I think Arabella Steinbacher is going to do a great job. And, well, the Norwegian Symphony, the Bergen Philharmonic Symphony thinks that Mark Elder is going to do a great job. And, well, they probably know more than I do. Okay, so let's move on to what we have next for you in this week's, I think there are 6 concerts. The Frankfurt Radio Symphony live streams Winter Dreams this Friday. And that includes Tchaikovsky's First Symphony, directed by rising star Irina Yashima, and Saint-Saëns' First Cello Concerto, played by the young wonder cellist Brian Chang. That's on Friday, January 17th at 8 in the evening, European time, 2 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. And I should mention to you that if I do not tell you what a live stream costs, it's free of charge. Let me pull up a picture for you of the 2 stars, Brian Chang and Irina Yashima. Brian Cheng and Irina Yashima are the ones who will be conducting Tchaikovsky's First Symphony. So it'll be Irina Yashima conducting Tchaikovsky's First Symphony this Friday evening, and then the young wonder cellist Brian Cheng conducting Saint-Saëns' First Cello Concerto Friday evening with the Frankfurt Radio Symphony. I keep repeating that because I need to compose a clip that can be clipped out and run as a reel. Anyway, let's go over this concert for you. This one's free of charge. They will start with a piece by a Syrian-American composer whom I confess I don't know. I don't pretend to know all this stuff. This is not television where you have these, fancy commentators who apparently know everything and never make any mistakes. This is live streaming where I make mistakes all the time. All right. They're doing a piece by Karim Rustam. He's a Syrian-American composer, and the piece is called Ramal. You'll find out when I find out. Then they go into doing the Camille Saint-Saëns' First Cello Concerto, which is a lovely piece with Brian Cheng playing it. Now, Brian Cheng, I didn't really know him. I had to look him up for this, and wow. All right, this year alone, he's doing his debut with, this is a debut with the Frankfurt Radio Orchestra. Then he's going to be with the BBC National Orchestra of Wales playing Elgar's Cello Concerto. And then he'll be with the Prague Philharmonia doing Haydn's Cello Concerto No. 1. He's also played with the Helsinki Phil, Brussels, Orchestra de la Suisse Romande, Orchestra Symphonique de Montréal. I love showing off my French. The Calgary Phil, etc., etc. He's been down in India as well, I think. He's been the artist in residence at the Banatul Philharmonic Orchestra of Timișoara, Romania, in 2023-2024, but he's hanging on after that to do some more residence and conducting. He made his sold-out Carnegie Hall recital debut at age 14. He made his Elbphilharmonie, that's in Hamburg, debut when he was 20. And in 2022, he was the first cellist to be awarded the coveted Prix Yves Paterno in recognition of the Verbier Festival Academy's most promising and accomplished musician. I mean, this guy's terrific. He also won the Canadian Council for the Arts Prize in 2023 as being a top musician. So this is something to tune in and enjoy. And Camille Saint-Saëns' Cello Concerto. I mean, you really know how to write for the cello. Then after that, they'll be doing Peter Tchaikovsky's First Symphony, which was called Winter Dreams, which is where they got the name for this concert. And the conductor is German-Japanese, Irina Yashima, and she's been referred to by the Hamburger Abendblatt, the Evening News, as a new star in the conductor's sky. There are these up-and-coming women conductors all over the place, and they say she does what I like to see a lot in some of these women conductors. You see these old guys with gray hair, and they barely move their hands. And these women conductors, they're jumping around that podium, and she's known for her dancing agility on the podium. She is also the first Kapellmeister at the Berlin Komische Oper, the Berlin comic opera in Berlin. Both of these are young, so this is going to be an exciting program by talented young people. And I say, so much the better. Check it out. I love doing this, by the way. I don't know if you can tell that, but we now move into something to a more operatic evening. Excuse me while I wet my whistle. All right, now. If you like really, really sad music and nothing else, then you will love the Berlin Philharmonic's live stream this Saturday. Music by Barber and Gubbedulina and Rachmaninoff's very tragic opera, Francesca da Rimini. Oh. This will be Kirill Petrenko conducting that Rachmaninoff, and he's very expert. This concert will start with Samuel Barber's Adagio for strings. You know that one. Very sad one. That one that was in the movie Gallipoli showed all those young men being slaughtered to that music. Then that will do a piece by Sofia Gubaidulina, who is this ex-Soviet composer called The Wrath of God, which is literally about God's wrath descending on mankind because we keep hating each other. And it's true. When too many people engage in too much hatred, then you have wars and slaughter and instability instead of practicing love and compassion and understanding and working things out. The photos that I'm showing you the photos of the singers in the next piece. Well, wait, let me give you a little bit of information more about, if you don't know who Sofia Gubaidulina is. She is a composer who won not only the Russian State Prize for composing, but the Japanese Premium Imperial, the world's most highly endowed art prize. Born back in 1931 in Chistopol, Russia, went to the Moscow Conservatory, ended up, of course, getting in trouble with the communists, and in 1979, she was placed on the blacklist of disagreeable persons. Her works were banned in Russia, but in 1986, she got permission to travel abroad and was an immediate sensation, and everybody was commissioning works for her to play for different soloists and orchestras, and you know, so it's if you don't know her, you want to discover her, and if you do know her, you may very much want to hear her piece, "The Wrath of God." God, that's sad. Well, then they'll do Sergei Rachmaninoff's Francesca da Rimini, and I have put up the picture with you with the names of the main performers in it. Why? Well, because they didn't even, there's no discussion of them on the Bergen Phil page. They didn't even give all their pictures and their bios. And I don't have time to give you all of that, but I can tell you that, I can tell you a little bit about the opera, and then you may understand the parts they play. You know, Rachmaninoff was the conductor at the Bolshoi Theater for years, and also at a private opera house. So when he premiered his Francesca da Rimini along with another one-act opera, The Miserly Knight, based on a story by Pushkin, the same evening at the Bolshoi in 1906. The work, it's based on Dante's Divine Comedy. And what happens is the poet Dante goes down to hell with his colleague Virgil, and they meet the lovers Francesca and Paolo in hell, because Francesca's husband and her brother caught them red-handed committing adultery, and they stabbed them to death. There's textless choral singing. There's an intensely passionate love scene. Dante had a verse which many people have cited, saying, "There's no greater sorrow than to recall happiness in times of misery." Well, that's this opera, and that's this music. And wow, that's sad, just hearing about it. Aristotle once said that the best tragedy is one who, if you just hear a paragraph describing it, it makes you sad. And this story makes me sad. Anyway, it's Galina Cheplakova there in the upper left-hand corner that you see, who plays Francesca, and Dmitro Popov, who's a Ukrainian tenor. You see on the right of her, those are the two lovers that you're going to see. Vladislav Sulimsky, who's in the lower left-hand corner, he's a baritone. He plays Lanceota Malatesta, and Dmitry Golovnin there in the lower right. He plays the poet Virgil, I believe. No, he plays Dante Alighieri, and there's one more character, the ghost of Virgil, but I didn't have room for more photographs. You can look them all up. You have their names, because otherwise I'll be here for an hour and a half. So that's this Saturday It's not free of charge because it's the Bergen Phil. It will cost you €9.90 or $11 for a 1-week voucher. Or you could get a monthly subscription for $16.90, which you can cancel right away after you subscribe to it and still get the month. And they do more than one live stream a month. They sometimes will do 3, 4, 5 live streams a month. So you want to check their calendar if it's worth it, find out, well, how much is it going to cost me? €16.90, which is about $18. How many live streams do I get for that? If you get 4 live streams for it, it might be a good bargain because the Bergen Phil is always quality. So that's what they're offering you this Saturday night. Love it or leave it, but it's going to be sad, sad, sad. Bring a handkerchief with you. Okay, now we move on to, I think we have, 2 more to do? Yeah, so this is stretching out to like another one of these half-hour kind of extravaganzas on my part. Who do I want to show you here first? Oh, I know who I want to show you. Yeah. Okay. Now, look, if you don't want to be sad on Saturday evening, well, hey, you can get a lot happier music Saturday night. I mean, symphonic music, free of charge from the Cologne Philharmonic, which is also a very high quality orchestra. I don't think that the Bergen Phil is necessarily superior to them, although I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me on that. Saturday night, the Cologne Philharmonic live streams you Strauss waltzes and polkas and operatic chansons from Puccini and Lehar, sung by Polish debutante Magdalena Lucjan to celebrate the new year. Yeah. That's at 8 o'clock p.m. Saturday evening, which is 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, 11 in the morning on the West Coast. Yeah. It's free of charge on YouTube. The Polish soprano Magdalena Lucjan will give you the link to her website. Born in 1999 in Szczecin, Poland. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, who's not Polish, I don't know how they do it. PSZCZYNA. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 consonants in a row before you get to a vowel. Anyway, graduated from MUK University in Vienna. She's currently finishing up her master's degree at the MDW University in Vienna, and don't ask me to pronounce the MDW in German, in vocal performance. And for the last few years, she's been a member of the Opera Academy at the Polish National Opera in Warsaw. So I think you could legitimately say she's a rising star. The conductor is Manfred Honeck. Sometimes I don't even mention the conductors, but he had a hand in putting together at least one of the arrangements of the music they're going to be playing. So now I just want to go quickly over some of the pieces they're playing. They start out playing a suite based on Turandot by Giacomo Puccini. And then they go into the singing with Magdalena, Puccini's Quando mon vo from La Bohème, O mio babino caro from Gianni Schicchi, Franz Lehar's couple of songs from the Merry Widow, which I think includes la da dum, la da dee dee da dum, la da dee da 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 dee. I'll leave it at that for you. Then they do some Johann Strauss, some Furioso polka, and some pieces that he wrote from The Bat, On the Hunt, In the Krapfenwald, and Under Thunder and Lightning, etc. So that's if you want happiness on Saturday evening, free of charge, it's the Köln or Cologne Philharmonic bringing it to you. Next up, we move to Detroit, and from there we're going to move to Siberia. So the rest of this chat may be interesting to some of you. I don't know. Saturday night, the Detroit Symphony live streams you Russian music and Russian music with Shostakovich's Violin Concerto No. 1 and Stravinsky's once very revolutionary Rite of Spring. That will be at 8 o'clock in the evening, Eastern Standard Time in the U.S., 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning, no, 2 o'clock in the morning, European time. There's a typo in the links that we had prepared. And 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So you might want to check it out. Let me pull up another image for this for this concert. And I beg your indulgence, I'm going to repeat this because I had the wrong picture up and I want to be able to pull a clip out of this. So give me 15 seconds, will you please? The Detroit Symphony live streams you Russian music and Russian music this Saturday night in the U.S. with Shostakovich's Violin Concerto No. 1 and Stravinsky's once very revolutionary Rite of Spring. Yeah, and as I've already told you, that's going to be on Saturday, January 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 1 in the morning in Europe, and 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, down under in Australia. They will start out with Camille Pépin's Les Eaux Célestes, which was inspired by an ancient legend. We're told it's cosmic sounds. Then they'll move on to Dmitri Shostakovich's Violin Concerto No. 1, and that's where you will have the pleasure of hearing Francesca Dago playing this very emotional piece. Francesca Dago also has so many photos of herself out there that I thought I'd just show you a selection of the many faces of Francesca Dago. Let me tell you a little bit about what a terrific violinist she is. She's based in London these days. She has played with groups like the Orchestra des Champs-Élysées with Maestro Herr Vegas. She played Mendelssohn with them. The National Symphony Orchestra of Ireland, playing Mozart. The Washington National Symphony, the Ulster Orchestra. She has debuted at Wigmore Hall with pianist Alessio Box. She's been to Japan with the NHK Symphony, and they toured. The Orchestra Chambre de Lausanne, the BBC Symphony, the Halle Symphony. She's exclusively signed to Chandos Records now. She's got out recordings of Mozart Violin Concertos 3 and 4 with the Scottish National Orchestra, concertos by Paganini and Ermanno Wolf-Ferrari, Beethoven Violin Sonatas and Paganini's Caprice for Deutsche Grammophon. She's also a keen chamber musician. I'm not going to give you the list of everybody she's played with. She adores contemporary music, citing people like Michael Newman, Carlo Boccadoro, Christian Carrara, Nicola Campogrande, and Marco Taralli. She's also a writer. She writes a monthly column for Suonare News, and she's written articles and opinion pieces for the BBC and classical music magazines, the Strad, Musical Opinion and Strings magazine. I mean, this is Francesca Dago. No wonder there's so many pictures of her. She has so many faces in life that she plays. I look forward to hearing her play together with my beloved Detroit Symphony Orchestra, which is the orchestra where I discovered what is an orchestra. You know, there's a great theater piece by Pirandello, which is called Tonight We Improvise. And it starts out, the actor says, "Tonight we improvise. But first, let me tell you, what is a theater?" And he goes on to describe the glory of what a theater is. It's nothing like the movies. it's a social real event, which is one reason why I'm so fanatic about live streams. But for me, that was, let me tell you, what is a symphony? The first time I walked into a concert of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, I was 16 years old, just got my driver's license, so I could get away and go do that on my own, because nobody in my family was a symphony goer. Wow. And here I am many decades later, still loving it all. Okay, so let me also give you a picture, though, of the conductor who will then be conducting the next piece. This is Daniel Rustin. Another younger person. So this is another one of these young pieces. Now, he was voted Best Conductor of the Year at the International Opera Awards in 2022. He's been the music director of the Lyon Opera since for about 8 years now, since 2017. And he's also, for the last couple of years, been the music director at the Ulster Orchestra. And he's a principal guest conductor at the Bavarian State Opera. So he has made debuts with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the London Phil, the Danish National Symphony, and all the major Italian ones. So he's also not only with the Lyon Opera, but that means he's a regular guest at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées in Paris, as well as that big Orange Festival, the Aix-en-Provence Summer Opera Festival. So nothing to sneeze at. And we will be putting in his young and dynamic hands Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring. Now, either you know it and you like it and you want to hear it, or you really don't like it and you don't want to hear it. If you don't know it, you might want to hear it. This is an orchestra that caused a riot at its 1913 premiere in Paris. And I can just say, God bless the French people. In most countries, people riot over, well, the cost of bread is too high, or there's racism, or there's this, or there's that, there's injustice. But no, in France, it's you write a bad symphony and they're going to riot over it. So that's really something different. Anyway, that's the Detroit Symphony Orchestra this coming Saturday night. If you're in a time zone when you can enjoy it, and I think it's enjoyable either in the evening in the U.S. or late at night, your late Saturday night in Europe. Well, it's 2:00 in the morning, but I'm often up that late on a Saturday, or Sunday morning in Australia. I commend it to you. Well, to wind up this week's live streams, we have one more piece coming to you all the way from out in Siberia. And I don't think I have a photograph to put up for that from what's going on in Siberia. I'm sorry about that, but I didn't get a picture. And this is a crowd-pleasing event. Sunday evening, way out in Siberia, the Tomsk Symphony Orchestra plays and live streams an evening of crowd-pleasing selections by Tchaikovsky, Mozart, Prokofiev, Khachaturian, etc. for a good time called the Tomsk Symphony Orchestra. That's what that is. I can't tell you a lot about what they're playing because they don't tell us the program in detail. The concert is called Time of Wishes. The conductor is Vladimir Dorokov. There'll be a violin solo, a cello solo. There'll be a Caucasian drum dole solo, and it's free of charge. And if it works for you, enjoy it. It's Sunday at 6 p.m. Siberian time, KRAT time, noon in Europe, 6 a.m. on the East Coast, 3 a.m. on the West Coast, 10 o'clock in the evening, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Folks, I have gone way over. We're almost at 35 minutes for this week's live streams, but well, there you are. It's like Voltaire once wrote someone in a letter and said, "Oh, I'm sorry to have written you such a long letter. I didn't have time to make it shorter." And that's the truth. If I'd called this all till tomorrow, I probably would have gotten it done in, well, maybe under 30 minutes. But there you have it. That's all we have for you this week. I remind you, follow us on Facebook. You can do that just by liking this video, or let me do that again. I want to remind you, follow us on Facebook, which you can do simply by liking this video, and then we'll send you an invite to follow it. Subscribe to us on YouTube, which you can do by clicking in the lower left-hand corner of the video, or the subscribe button below the video, or you can like and follow us on X, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads as you choose. Have a great week. I hope that one, more, or any of these live streams inspires and uplifts you and or just gives you a great time.